way if something happens with Will and he can't get here, we will have it. Well, Jan, since you wrote this scenario and the questions, why don't you lead us through it today?
Okay, I will. And it's a good thing I did print this off because I can't get on my computer. So,
there you go. It always pays to have a hard copy.
Yeah. Unless you wanted to pull up something, you could, because since you have it, it's totally up to you how you'd like to do it. So I'll just read it.
Yeah, everybody's got it. So I think just roll through it.
All right. You have been coaching Gina for 6 months now. She originally started working with you because she wanted to lose weight, as she is about 75 pounds overweight. Her husband tries to be supportive, but he does most of the cooking and doesn't like as many fruits and vegetables as she does. You have noticed after making weekly goals, there's always a reason why she isn't sticking to her eating plan. She will go on and on about making excuses. You have started to do more SMART goals and they have worked better, but they're more around drinking more water, exercise, and currently abstaining from alcohol for 30 days. She's doing well with no alcohol for over a week now and has tried to be creative moving her body as she hurt her foot. She has started bowling and is using hand weights and bands at home. And the first question is, what are some closed-ended questions that would help you narrow the conversation to make health goals?
You know, before we hit that one, I just wondered about starting, how you would start the session. You know, what kind of a positive, open-ended question you would ask her. With some of the readings, there was a couple of questions that I thought were really good. And one was, what areas of life make you feel most alive? And there was the second one, what are you yearning for in your life? I just wondered with her, because I have a client that's very similar to Gina. So it's trying to get her to focus on something positive, you know, to get the process started. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Maybe start the conversation with, you know, what's been the best part this past week with your water intake.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that still kind of goes into nutrition and weight loss, just like to start off at least positive that she at least has been accomplishing something to affirm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Just something, you know, that good opening question. So. Sorry, didn't mean to derail it, Jan.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I usually start with something positive, but maybe narrowing it. Like, I think this is more focused on not just asking her a general question about, well, you know, how, you know, something that you can be grateful for this week and what's something you want to, you know, praise yourself for, but being a little more focused on, like you were talking about, maybe about her water or whatever it's going to be, one of her goals that she's already working on or something like that.
Yeah.
So
for the close-ended question, I don't know, what are your thoughts, ladies? I just came up with, is losing weight still the most important goal to you?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I did. Are you pleased with your progress this week? Are you ready to move forward?
Yeah, I wrote that. Are you ready to move forward? That's good. But is losing weight still? Yeah. A goal you have or something like that?
Yeah, or you're still your primary focus, depending on how she responded with the wellness wheel, if you did that and her wellness vision.
I think,
is losing weight still the most important goal to you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Talk about any more about that one. They're pretty like they say, narrow this week. They're not really broad.
This week you better enjoy it, because next week
I know. I was saying,
I agree. I made the mistake of looking at next week.
No, it's not a mistake, because you don't get an early start, you'll never get through it all.
I know.
Yeah. Phyllis kind of told us that last week before you got on. Oh my gosh, have you looked at this one? 2.9. I'm like, no. She goes, you better.
I
And
can't
I'm like,
even do it. I mean, I should, but I can't even because then I'll just get too overwhelmed.
I know. I was like, thanks. Well, and I was saying, I'm kind of glad I've been starting to look at it because like I said, I'm going to be going on vacation next week. And I'm like, you're okay. Anyways, okay. Is there something you can say that would help her refocus on her original goal?
My question was, Gina, let's imagine that after 6 months, you've lost 50 pounds. How do you see yourself? How will you feel in your clothes?
Oh, that's a good one.
So I don't know if these are right, but just because the way I do is I do the readings and then I literally take my examples exactly like from the readings. So it said like to interrupt and redirect by asking a question, what needs to change? What will it take to break the cycle? What are the strengths you bring to this situation? What's the possibility you see in a situation? And I was surprised because in the Moore book, you know, it even gave an example that you can technically interrupt to refocus. And the example they gave was like, oh, whoa, I'm lost. You know, we started talking about this and somehow we ended at this point. So speak, I think we're off topic and I'm here to help you stay on track, you know, as we agreed. Or how would you like things to change? I think that's kind of similar to the one you just mentioned. Or if you did really decide you want to lose weight, how could you do it?
I think those are all good. I mean, those are great questions. And I think, you know, the book suggested, one of them suggested about explaining to a client in advance that there may be times because of time constraints that you will interrupt.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've had a couple of clients that I wish I'd have said that early on because they can, just like Gina, can drone on, and it's like, oh, come on already.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what your either.
Yeah. Sometimes it does, and it's just like, okay, let's just move past this. But getting the permission to be able to interrupt, because I do recognize that is it could be taken very rudely. That telling somebody and just saying, you know, I'm sorry, I feel the need to interrupt right now, so we can get back on focus because we only have 30 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever it is. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too.
I also think,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I think a good way to phrase it too is like, can we like take a step back and look at, like we focused on all these different areas, and what do you think right now is the most important to you? Because originally we discussed losing weight. Is that still something you want to do? Because I think sometimes, like with this situation and with a lot of the times we get too much into all different things, and then it's like, what are we even working on? So just like taking a step back and saying like, hey, like, is this still important to you? Like which of these is relevant? That kind of thing.
And I didn't really say this in the book, but after, you know, that week where Phyllis said that she uses kind of like the bubble sheet, I do have a client very similar to this situation. And she started with wanting to do weight loss, but it was also like reduce her A1C, but it was also walking more. And then it somehow became like meal planning and also increasing her hydration. So it's like the same thing, like she was able to increase her water intake, but like her initial goal was really weight loss. So I said, hey, if it's okay with you, I thought we could like refocus like on your initial like wellness vision, revisit your wellness vision, and have you make any changes based on like what your goals are currently. And then I use like that PowerPoint slide example that Phyllis gave. And then I put like ahead of time before a coaching session, everything we've worked on, and I put all the bubbles and I said, okay, so weight loss is the main goal. Is that still your main goal? Yes. So, and I said, okay, so based on all these bubbles, is there anything you would add, or what are like your top 3 priorities? And then we like went from there to like refocus.
That's great. That's just great.
That's really good.
Sometimes, you know, clients, you know, depending on how long you work with them, you know, you may need multiple bubble sheets because, nutrition may
Yeah.
have so many facets to it that you need a nutrition bubble sheet, or exercise,
Absolutely.
could need its own bubble sheet, it just depends on the client and the length of time you're working with them.
I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but maybe in her conversation, you could say something. I'm not sure what the words are here, but it's something like, would your hubby be open to other ways of cooking veggies, or talking about it or bringing it back? Because, she's always saying that he does the cooking and he doesn't like certain things. But I don't know.
Could we maybe ask her like what she likes to cook to see like maybe if she would be open to cooking?
Yep. And at the end, when you ask about resources, I've had one client where it's a man and the wife does all the cooking. So I asked her to attend some sessions where we did traffic light eating, and we talked about macronutrients and other things to help her grow and learn what was needed to help him lose the weight he needs to lose, which, she needed to lose weight too. So it worked out.
Yeah, it's like have him attend a couple of sessions on those kind of things.
Yeah, and you have to, at least what I did was to work hard to try to build the self-confidence in that spouse, because they're the support person. So not to fluff them up, but to make them feel more self-confident that, their role is so critical in helping their spouse to achieve their goals.
For sure. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. The next one is 2.7.3. How can you ask Gina in a nice way to get to the bottom line?
I love that.
That one in the book. This bottom line, Gina, what will you commit to?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know, that's what I put from the book. Bottom line, Gina, what will you commit to? I said also like one technique is to utilize like reminding clients that they are in charge of the coaching direction. So to ask permission, like, may we work with this issue? Can I tell you what I see? Would you like some feedback on that?
Mm-hmm.
On that one, I put, Gina, you've voiced several challenges to achieving your action steps this week. I'm wondering if we can work together to help prepare for similar circumstances next week that will remove these obstacles and challenges. What ideas do you have?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah. Well, don't I wish I could come up with these in the spare of the moment when clients do.
Oh, agreed.
If you give me 2 hours to think about this, I can come up with all kinds of things.
I know.
Yeah. Can you say that again? I was going to try and write that idea down, but I just was listening.
Gina, you have voiced several challenges to achieving your action steps this week. I'm wondering how we can work together to help you prepare for similar circumstances next week that will remove obstacles and challenges. And ask her what ideas she has.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of addressing the problem, because she's like constantly going on and on about her excuses. And then if you're like, okay, well, she keeps bringing this stuff up, so maybe we should address it so that next time she can handle it, and then we can actually get to the focus of the coaching.
And the excuses are just reflecting that she's still ambivalent. So, Jan's got the next thing is the scaling question. That's really critical, because you got to wonder where she's at, with desiring the change. So.
Yeah, that's basically it is. What kind of scaling question would you ask her? And I just said, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not ready to move forward with your nutrition goals of losing weight, and a 10 being absolutely ready to lose weight. And I said, if she says 7, and then I just kind of said, why do you choose a 7 today? Kind of, these are just from the book, you know.
Mhm.
And then also I like the fact that sometimes they're like, oh, why are you at a 7 rather than a 3? Because then they're focusing on the positives rather than being like, well, I could be a 10, but I'm not because of these reasons. So
Yeah, I agree with you. Anytime I do like a BAP plan with a client, I always like make sure after they tell me the number, I always like reinforce and affirm, like even whatever their number is, even if it's a 6, I'll say a 6 is great. That's, you know, that shows more dedication than a 4 or 5. Can you tell me like what made you choose a 6 and not a lower number?
I think just kind of,
Go ahead.
I just was thinking like the kind of scaling, there's like confidence, importance, just kind of all those different, like how confident are you in achieving this certain goal? How important is this goal to you? Because then it can help you figure out like where you guys need to work together. If she's like really not confident or if she's really not thinking it's important, then like, okay, we'll move on to a different one. But I think it's very telling on you know how to move forward in certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like that.
I agree.
Remember that she actually had them physically, mentally picture them on a number line and stand on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, the 1-1 scale for measurement.
Mm-hmm.
That one was like totally new to me. I've never done that with a client. And at first I thought it was like a little bizarre, but then I liked the fact that in the reading, it said that they like rarely ever do this with like a brand new client, that like usually it's like when you've had some coaching sessions under your belt with them, so they would feel comfortable to actually like stand and do this.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe it would be good for this particular client because, you know, she's been being coached for a while.
And I wondered too about if she's got 75 pounds to lose, if we broke it down into a smaller goal, like 10 pounds in 30 days, 75 pounds is daunting.
Yeah.
So if we broke it down, and you had that discussion with her, then I would ask her on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you can lose 10 pounds in 30 days? And then explore that confidence level. And then ask, you know, if she said she was a 5, you know, what would it take for her to go from a 5 to a 7 confidence level? What would happen if your weight loss goal was more important? How can I help you achieve the goal? And then ask her about what ideas she has to hold herself accountable.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot with my volunteers. We would have like a plan set up, and then I would ask that confidence scale question, and they're like actually not super great. And then what happened was it was always just because they need to make it more realistic in a little bit smaller pieces.
Yeah.
And then once they did that, they're like, yeah, 8 or 9. And so I think helping them explore reasons why they feel like they're not that confident, and then figuring out how to help them with that. I think it's usually because it needs to be more realistic. They need to have more support. Maybe it's not the right time. So
Mm-hmm.
I found it interesting too that in the wellness coaching for lasting lifestyle change, that was like a rating as part of the confidence level, but theirs was the well of life activity. So kind of like the wellness wheel. And I never really would have put that, to be honest, under a scaling question. But I guess it's because you're probably being able to like review if they did it previously and then you did a later coaching session with them, like has their level of satisfaction in those like 8 to 9 areas maybe improved, like environment or family relationships, personal growth, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I think we named most of them because we did the confidence ruler, and then
Oh, isn't there a
What-
readiness one?
Isn't there a what? I'm sorry.
A readiness one?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
'Cause that's one I just forgot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's actually the readiness one is a great question because I've had clients where I kind of wish I would have used that because like, yeah, they're like so focused on wanting to accomplish a goal, but like, they're just so not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that like they can be confident and think it's important, but maybe it's not the right time and they're not ready because I did some sessions with this girl who had 2 kids and they were in swimming lessons and they were moving and I was like, she's not lacking the the ability or the confidence, or she also thinks it's super important, but it was just not the right time because she had way too much going on. And I was like, well, like these are ideas that you can do once, like things calm down a little bit, and then she would and be great. She was great at it. So it's just like sometimes not exactly the right time, but to just be like, I was always like compassionate with that, being like, okay, like totally no pressure to like work on this right now because I know you have a lot going on. But once it calms down, we're going to revisit it and see, how you're doing with it.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of talks about like what we're going to be talking about in 2.9 this next week. For sure, all of that is, right?
Yeah.
Where are they in readiness to change and what's going on in their lives? And I think one of the stories was a lady was like, yeah, I want to be ready, but then her husband had cancer and she says, this isn't my time to try and lose weight. I need to take care of him. That's my focus right now. So it wasn't like that she didn't want to do it, but there are circumstances in people's lives that, don't allow that. So anyway. Oh, we had some good ones, ladies. What would be a good way to ask Gina to summarize what her action steps for the week are?
I just said, let's focus on 1 or 2 small steps that you could do this week to aid your weight loss goal. What do you want to accomplish?
For me, it was to have Gina state her action plan out loud. So for her to state like the what, when, where, how, her accountability person, because we know that like having additional support and accountability is going to make that individual more apt to follow through. And then to also verbally state out loud that confidence level they stated. So if you review like that BAP handout that we initially got, basically you would just have them restate everything out loud once their confidence level is over a 7, so that the more, usually when they hear themselves speaking it, they're going to be more likely to implement it as well.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I remember that being an important lesson as we were going through was we believe what we hear ourselves say.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe with the fact that she maybe talks a lot and does a lot of excuses, maybe you could say in like 1 to 2 sentences, what are your plans for this coming week on how you're going to, with your SMART goal of losing weight or something like that. So that, because maybe the summary could open up another door for her to be like, well, let me summarize. And then she gets on all these tangents. So maybe just saying like 1 to 2 sentences. What do you want to do?
I think that's
Yeah, usually, because I am afraid of like, I've definitely experienced that when clients go on a tangent. So usually what I have them do is when we do a SMART goal, I have them use like that BAP handout. So if you ladies remember, like we had to do that during like our final for our coaching session. I forgot which one of the sessions with our volunteer, but we actually had to give them like a BAP outline ahead of time. But then the coaching session, we guided them through it. So I find it like helpful that when they have the sheet in front of them and I ask them a question, then I'll be like, okay, can you like jot that down? Like after they answer the question, and then we kind of work through the sheet that way, the what, when, where, how. And if they answered like less than a 7 for the confidence level, that's when I ask like, well, what would make you more confident, or how can we change your plan so that you would feel more confident this week? Then obviously we make the change. And then once they say they're at 7 or higher, I'm like, okay, can you please mark that on your scale on the sheet? And then the sheet also asks their accountability individual. So I just find it helpful to ask them when they are stating it out loud, like, so can you please like state out your plan out loud for this week after like now just reviewing your sheet. So hopefully I feel like that sheet kind of helps them stay focused, not to go on a tangent. They like follow what they wrote down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've been using that like every time with setting SMART goals, and I agree. Like it like narrows everything down to the very specific stuff that they're gonna do, and so the chances of them going on and on is a little less.
I know it's hard because clients definitely do go on, and then you're like, I only have 20, 30 minutes.
And you're like, I want you to be able to know what you're doing. Yeah, that's the one.
Is this the one?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Huh. Where is that at?
It came from previous study and I would never find it now, but I kept it in a notebook of stuff to not forget.
Now, in that same lesson, BAP without that's the colored one, you know, and you go through the thing. I don't remember getting a separate sheet to send to my client. That's cool.
This right here.
I have that, but when do you send to your client? That one?
Well, I
Or the
have,
other?
but apparently I should be.
We've been sending the one she showed you first. I can't remember exactly.
Oh.
It's like,
There
it's
it
from
is,
some
but-
sort of like Canadian company that's like a counseling service in Canada. But I remember asking our instructor, like, can we use these? And then she was like, yeah, we have their permission. You guys can use them. I'm like, okay.
Huh. I'll have to go and see if because I took this a couple years ago. Maybe I didn't get that one. I'll have to go look in my binder. If it's, because it would be in that same session, correct?
I think I have a digital format. I can just email the group.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, let me see if I can email it now.
And that's cool. I didn't even think about sending it to your client. It's almost like you're trying to use it as a secret or something, you know? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it
Oh.
helps a lot.
Resource right there. What kind of resources would you provide for Gina?
Well, but it is great just to get the client to think through about how to make the plan. So
For sure. So what do you call that? Is that a BAP handout or is it something different?
BAP, brief action plan.
Oh, okay. BAP, brief action. Well, okay, I know what that means, but is that what the title of this document is called?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
top of mine says taking care of my health or well-being.
Okay.
And there's a date on it of 16 March 2015. So, I don't know. But I'm pulling it out so I can look at it.
Thanks. Yeah, and I was thinking it might be good to go over the wellness wheel with her again because it's been a while, and her vision statement. Those kind of things might be good to kind of go back and see what it is.
Yeah.
And I liked what Phyllis said about maybe doing some traffic light eating and having her husband help, attend that or something.
Yeah, one other thought I had on that too. So if the husband's doing the cooking, maybe they could do a cooking class together. So, and I didn't look this up, but I bet there's a YouTube video on plant-based diets. Something where they could watch it together and learn together. Because he's got to become her advocate.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if I could send him some of those documentaries like Forks Over Knives or What the Health, or would they be open to
Game Changers?
Yeah, all those different ones.
I would highly recommend that too. That's actually like what the doctors I work with, like that's usually what they do like for their patients during kind of like some of their coaching sessions. And it actually seems to obviously it depends on what kind of learner the patient is, but it seems like honestly that helps them a lot.
And then
they're early 30s, so I think they would be loving to watch something instead of reading it. That just seems to be
And
Yeah,
then
maybe it's even using like EPE, right? Like to give them like a menu of options of what seems like something that they would want as a resource to help them. I know
Yeah.
also in the reading, it said like a lot of the resources, you know, are regarding like professional resources, like in even our community or like where the client lives. So perhaps it's even like finding, like, is there somewhere local next to Gina that, you know, has like, kind of like what Phyllis said, like different like cooking classes or even, you know, groups that focus on that. So did you state though, she is trying to be plant-based?
no, I just threw that in
Oh,
there.
Oh, that's
plant-based.
why I was confused. I was like, okay, I'm like, I don't see it in the paragraph.
She doesn't mind. I mean, she would like to get more fruits and vegetables in her diet, but he's kind of like, he doesn't like that one. And he's doing the cooking, and she goes, kind of rolls her eyes like, but when she came up with no drinking, I thought, well, that's a good thing because that's less sugar as far as losing weight, right? And she's been sleeping better because she started doing that. She's noticed that in her body, which is really good, you know. So she's making steps forward that way. Because you know, sleep is our foundation. So, have you guys seen the documentary "Kiss the Dirt"? I think that's
No,
what
what's that about?
it's about. Basically, how you know, they use our soil, the farmers and stuff, and how it's depreciating and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really good. It's on Netflix. So
I would totally be into that.
yeah. Oh, Kiss the Ground. I'm sorry. It's called Kiss the Ground. Yeah.
Is the name of the other one you mentioned, Jen, Game Changers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jen.
that's a really good one. James Cameron actually helped direct it, the guy who did Titanic.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's newer. It's more and it's more, especially I would say for men and more, you know, athletes, but still it's cool. It was really good. I wished I could get my son to eat more plant-based, and because he's an athlete. It's like, ugh.
There's actually a good book called The No Meat Athlete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so this guy, he's like ripped. It's like, I have that cookbook. It's a good one.
I bet it is. It's like I mean, my kid's ripped and all, and he's like probably 7% body fat. He goes, Mom, I don't know how else to keep my weight up. Da, 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 da. It's just hard enough. I eat all the time. I'm like, okay, well, at least you're taking your Juice Plus.
There you go. Okay.
He's been taking that he was the reason I started 6 years ago because he was so sick. He had meningitis when he was in hospital and, you know, a whole bunch of colds and, you know, all that stuff. So anyhow, you do your best, right? I mean, he eats them, but,
Yeah.
you know, rather not see him as much meat.
One of the things in our reading this week talked about, I think it was VAC, I don't remember what that stands for, but doing a strengths assessment. There's a free strengths assessment online. So
yeah, I saw that.
I've sent that. I have two clients. I have one that's 19 and one that's 16. So because it has a strengths assessment for teens and then one for adults. So
It's online though?
I'm sorry.
The one you use is like an online like version?
Yeah, it's free online, and it was in our reading this week. I can look it up. I don't remember the link, but
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, if you don't mind emailing it to us, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think I highlighted something, but it's so long. I'm like, okay.
I saw like the long version in the book regarding the assessment. That was the oh gosh, what's it called? It was the IHWA, the Integrative Health and Wellness Assessment in the nursing coaching book.
That's right in the Dossie. That's Dossie. Okay, yeah.
pretty long.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very long.
My client. Jeez, even the short one looked long.
Yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing. It's like, boy, if I can get them to fill out just even my basic sheet to start, I'll get them started. That's long enough.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like I'm not a doctor. I mean, I don't know. I think some of the stuff that the doctors have us fill out and they don't really look at it anyways. That's what frustrates me. Well, did you take the time? Then they ask you all the same questions. Like,
Yeah.
That's called insurance, covering their rear ends for insurance.
is that what it is? Okie
I think
dokie.
it's also just because they have such a limited time. Like they only have like a max of 20 minutes per patient. And like, trust me when I say they wish that they had more, but there's like not enough doctors for all the patients needed.
Yeah.
So they're like running around like crazy. That's why even like the doctors I work with, like we're just starting lifestyle medicine consults, but they even said like the first visit's going to be 60 minutes with the patient so that they can like thoroughly review their assessment. And they complain all the time how in 20 minutes they don't have enough time, but it's like not up to them. It's like basically like the medical institution needs money. There's like too many patients that need to be seen. And it's like nuts because they're so busy that my one doctor I work with, he works until like 11 o'clock at night. Like no joke. He goes home, he eats, he gets on his computer at 7:30. He's like texting me, emailing me at like 10:30, 11:30 at night. So I think because they're like forced to stay in that 20-minute gap because there's just not enough providers for patients.
So that's where the health coaches are coming in.
Yes, that is like the gap. That's what they mentioned too, because we're like, we wish we could, have time to spend with our patients, but like we don't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I've got a doctor that I'm meeting with right now, looking towards, he's working on his certification in functional medicine. And
That's like lifestyle medicine.
Yeah, he wants to integrate group visits into his practice.
Yeah.
Because group. Yeah, because people with the similar chronic conditions, supporting themselves, supporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting concept, and it's being used pretty broadly right now. Not in my area, but maybe where you all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to explore it more with him.
Well, yeah, and then he could also do some coaching things around that with a group,
Well, yeah, but he that's why he wants a health coach working with him.
Mm-hmm. So, that's cool.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, that's really good.
And then back to the 2.8, I was thinking, because this morning I was listening to which one was it? The scientific approach. And I think it's really important for us to help people learn how to evaluate sources that they're looking up on the internet if they're, because everyone Googles health information. And there's so much out there, and there's like, it's confusing, like what is true. Yeah. But just like realize, like having them ask questions like, who's the author? Do they have an agenda? Are they biased? Do they have like evidence to back up their claims? And also to avoid things that are like, here's the miracle cure and here's the thing that will fix everything, like just be wary of those, because I think sometimes we get so excited about that. Oh my gosh, like what if it is? And then it usually is not. They're just trying to sell you something. And so I think helping people realize, like when they're doing their own research, is to be just cautious of what they believe on the internet when they're doing health information, because there's a lot out there.
Yeah, they need to go to like PubMed, not, those kind of things, instead of just the normal websites or, Google or, and what kind of, they also talked about primary and borrowed research. That's really important to explain that to them probably.
Yeah.
Right. And also just realizing also like connecting of how many studies back up the same claim, like with the meta-analysis. I did that a lot with my stuff at school, and where it'd be like, okay, we're going to look at this giant study and see that from this huge study, all of these things are similar throughout. And it shows, well, okay, we can trust this pretty good because of how many different studies and experiments show the same results.
Good. Well, does anybody have any other thoughts or things we wanted to share this week? Or Thought we brought up some other good thing, tools though for us and resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to integrate the stages of change. And I was actually just reading in Moore's book for next week. And Moore's book says we should teach the stages of change. So I find that I'm intrigued with that, trying to, and there's some ideas about where you don't use, the pre-contemplation and the contemplation, but you just use I won't do it. I am doing it. You use those phrases to help them tell you where they are in their stage of change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to integrate that with my next new client. I find that intriguing.
Yeah, I think it's powerful for us to realize where they are, but I also think it's powerful to have them realize that there is a stage of change, because before I learned this, I just went through things, but then when I learned the stage of change, I was recognizing where I was at and what I can do to get to the next stage. And I think that's empowering helping them also realize that. I also don't know exactly how to integrate that yet, but I just think having them understand that idea is good.
Mm-hmm. I think, like you said, empowering them. And it's the same thing as giving them that BAP handout, empowering, that what it is and stuff. They can talk about it. It's not like it's just, I thought this was a secret. We don't want to be like that. I don't think, right?
I guess you just kind of show them that why you're doing what you're doing, because sometimes I'll explain. I'm like, so we're doing this SMART goal because it breaks up into smaller pieces, and just kind of helping them understand the reason behind what we're doing, I think helps them throughout the process. But
Mm-hmm.
And I think it also helps them to understand that the stages of change is a spiral. And there are going to be times when they're going to make a misstep, or they're going to step back, and to recognize how to be prepared for that, because it's very much part of the change process. The take 2 steps forward and 1 step back is very common. So I'm going to try that next time, just to see if that eases the burden of falling back, for recycling. It's recycling is what they're calling it, or
Recycling. Uh-huh.
Well, Jen, did you have a good lunch?
I scarfed it down, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a million people email me at work right now. I mean, because I am supposed to be working, but they've let me have this hour during my work day, since it's obviously for my job. But somebody was teamsing me. I'm like, can't you see I'm in a meeting? It's just been a little crazy.
Well, no problem.
I have back-to-back meetings until 6. So
yeah. Well, you're doing.
Oh, sorry, you cut out. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm saying you're doing something important, so that's really good.
Oh, thank you. I know that's the end goal for us all, I think, right?
Yep. Amen. So.
Okay, well, I'm gonna jump off.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna attempt to do our coaching scenario for next week. I have no clue how that's going to happen. I'll see what I can include in there.
You're amazing, Phyllis. You can do it. I know.
Yeah, it's not super hard.
I've seen it. I just don't see how we get through it in 1 hour. I just don't see it.
I know, it seems long.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, well, I guess we can just see how far we get next week, and then if possible we could meet again, or just kind of maybe share thoughts through email or something, so it's not as intimidating that we have to finish all of that that 1 hour.
Good.
I think that sounds like a good plan, Emma. Well, you all take care, and we'll see you guys next week. I will email you that strengths assessment when I find the link to it. And I
Awesome.
think, Jen, I don't think you were on, but I sent you, in next week's reading, there's an article which I could not find in our, in the coach portal. So I looked it up and I sent you all the links so you wouldn't have to
Oh,
research.
thank you. Thank you. Yep. And I emailed you all that BAP plan sheet too.
Terrific. All right.
The electronic version.
Yeah. Well, have fun. Watch the documentary, Kiss the Ground. I think you'll like it.
Yes.
I'm going to look for that.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.